You know, every now and then, a piece of film criticism comes along that's so bold, it just makes you stop and go, wait, are they for real? Well, today, we're diving into one of those. It's this provocative and, frankly, unbelievably detailed argument that one of Hollywood's newer stars hasn't just given a great performance, but has basically rewritten the rules of acting itself.
And right out of the gate, we get this. That's the opening line. It's about as subtle as a car alarm. It's a statement that's clearly designed to let you know that what you're about to read is going to be a complete shakeup of what we consider acting greatness.
So the main idea here is pretty straightforward. The argument is that we are witnessing the arrival of a true generational talent. This actress isn't just being called a rising star, no. She's being positioned as the new gold standard for acting in Hollywood.
And the praise just keeps coming. The performance is called a gift from the gods. Words like genius are thrown around, and she's flat out anointed the new acting queen. This is the foundation for the entire incredibly detailed case that's about to be built. So how on earth do they back this up?
Well, it all starts with the face. We're talking a deep dive into these tiny microexpressions and techniques that, according to this analysis, are what separate the merely good actors from the truly legendary ones. The very first technique they pinpoint is something called the side-eye scroll. Now, what's so wild about this is just how specific it is. It's not just a glance. Oh no, it's a scroll, a very deliberate movement that's supposedly packed with all this complex emotion. And it gets even more granular. They apparently put this thing in slow motion and counted exactly 5 distinct eye movements in this one super quick moment. The argument here is that this isn't just acting. It's this precisely calibrated move that most actors would spend their whole careers trying to master. And just look at the weight they put on this one gesture. The argument being made is that this side-eye scroll, which she does twice, isn't just some cool acting choice. It could be the very thing that wins her an Oscar. This tiny little detail is presented as absolute proof of an artist at the top of her game. So then the idea gets built up by comparing 2 other key facial expressions. On the left, you've got this face of supposed terror, which is compared to sloth in the Goonies. But the argument is that its genius, kind of like Van Gogh's, might be misunderstood at first. Then on the right, you have the look of love, where a tiny eye flutter and a lip curl is somehow interpreted as this undeniable signal that she wants the ring. Okay, so moving on from just the face, the critique then gets into vocal delivery and this whole idea of realism. The argument is that this performance completely reinvents what a Disney princess is for a modern audience. And the contrast here is really the whole point. On one hand, you've got your traditional princesses with their perfect posture and amazing hair. And then you've got this performance, which they call kitchen sink realism, a look that suggests she's waiting for a haircut. When she's facing mortal danger, her reaction is described as being as dramatic as a squirrel. And this quote right here is really the heart of the whole argument. The claim is that in these big moments where any other actor would overact, she makes the so-called genius choice to do nothing. This lack of traditional acting is presented as the highest form of the craft, stripping it all down to its raw, realist core. And this theory gets applied to a bunch of key moments. A 3-second delay in reacting to thunder? Oh, that's not a missed cue. It's a deliberate choice to portray early-onset dementia. A really important line is delivered with 0 weight, and a smile during a serious confrontation is seen as this subversive choice, showing that revenge can be served with a warm blanket.
And now we come to the climax of the whole critique, the breakdown of what is, let's be honest, the most iconic scene in the entire story. The moment with the poisoned apple.
The whole thing is set up with this question. This scene isn't just a plot point. It's the moment that birthed an empire. Everything hangs on this. So how does a supposedly generational talent tackle a moment that has so much history and so much weight? So, what's the big move? How does she do it? By apparently subverting every single expectation. You can forget about building tension, forget showing any fear. The argument is that it's a brilliant choice to save every ounce of dramatic energy for one single crucial action, taking a big, crunchy bite of that apple.
And what happens after the bite? Well, they draw this really sharp contrast. In another modern Disney movie, you have Elle Fanning dropping to her knees in this huge dramatic collapse. And then you have this performance, which is described as looking like she just shot heroin. The question is then posed, do we want a classic Sleeping Beauty, or do we want a realistic girlfriend next door?
So, After breaking down all the facial tics, the line deliveries, the reinvention of the Apple scene, we finally arrive at the final, definitive verdict on this entire performance.
And it all comes down to this. The conclusion is that the performance isn't just good, it's so dominant and confident that it's essentially a thought bubble screaming, "My God, that Oscar is mine." It's an act of artistic vandalism that steals every scene.
But ultimately, this incredibly specific and provocative analysis kind of leaves us all with a bigger question. As our classic stories get remade for new generations, what does this kind of kitchen sink realism actually mean for the magic and drama of the fairy tales we thought we knew? It's definitely something to think about.